Hi, today we will take a look at the multi-cluster feature in Botkube. In the demo scenario, we'll have three Kubernetes clusters: Dev, Prod EU, and Prod US. We'll use Microsoft Teams as the preferred communication platform, and we'll have two different channels in the Microsoft Teams team. So we'll have Dev channel and Prod channel. We'll connect Dev cluster to the Dev channel and two production clusters to the Prod channel. Let's get started. I have two channels, Dev and Prod, and they are created as a part of the cluster monitoring team. And in Botkube Cloud, there are no instances yet, so I need to create one first. But before going into that, you can see that my terminal is already configured with three different environments. So I have a direct connections to each cluster. Okay, so let's create a new instance named dev. I will copy the installation command directly because I have my Botkube CLI already installed. And in a moment, the instance should be ready. It takes really just a few seconds. So as you can see here, the cluster is connected. I can go to the next step. So now we will add a new Microsoft Teams platform and connect our team. So in order to do that, you need to download the app, the Botkube app, and sideload it to your organization. This is something what I already did. So the next step is to go to the app catalog in your Microsoft Teams app and then add the Botkube app to your team. So you need to go to the build for your org section and then click add. Then you select the team. In this case, it will be cluster monitoring, right? So I'm picking the general channel. And after a moment, I will get a notification from Botkube app with the next steps. So as you can see here, the first thing I need to do is to give permissions to the organization for the app. So I need to grant access. I need to be Microsoft Teams organization administrator. Fortunately, this is something what you do just once for the whole Microsoft Teams organization. So you need to accept the permissions only once, and after successful permission grant, as you can see here, now you can move back to the Microsoft Teams and do the second final step, which is connecting your team to Botkube Cloud. So this is something what you can do multiple times for multiple Botkube Cloud organizations, but here we will connect the team to just a single demo organization. So as you can see here, all set up, which means you can move on with the Botkube instance configuration. So now you can select your team, custom monitoring, and then select the channel you want to connect the instance with. So in this case, it will be a dev. And now it's time to select your plugins. In our case, we have two recommended plugins, Kubectl and Kubernetes. Of course, you can configure some of the plugins like Kubernetes configuration. We have the configuration as code tab where you can use the YAML editor to, for example, I don't know, modify the event types or something like this. But here in our case, error events, this is something what we want to monitor. And so we will stick to the defaults and we will go to the next step. And here we will enable command aliases because we want to save time. Instead of typing kubectl, for example, we want to type K or KC. This is very handy. Now the dev instance is already created. So what we need to do, we need to do similar steps for Prod EU and Prod US. Fortunately, you don't need to connect the team once again because it is already connected. So now let's start with Botkube installation, and we need to wait a bit for the cluster to be ready to be connected, and then you will see that we'll be able to pick the existing team. And here again, Teams tab, And yeah, the team is here, so we can move forward with the prod channel. So now we will go with the same settings for both of the prod instances, so let's speed this up. Once all the instances are in the connected state, we can navigate to Microsoft Teams to see that all the instances responded with the My Watch Begins message, along with the help message to help get you started. As you can see here in both dev and prod channels, we have the messages. So what we can do right now is to deploy a sample application. In our case, it will be just a simple pod, but of course, as usual, we'll start with the dev environment to see whether the app behaves as it should before promoting that to the prod environment. So how we can verify that the app is working properly? After applying the YAML file, what we can do, we can just list all the pods in the default namespace and see that the app pod is in the running state. Of course, we can also execute the describe command, and here we will use the alias k because we configured it as a part of the instance creation. Now, as you can see here, everything looks as it should. So what we can do next is to deploy the app in the production environments. But before doing that, you should get familiar with the concept of multi-cluster management in case of a single channel. So we have a command which is called Botkube Cloud help, and this will return you all the possibilities you can do with all the instances assigned to a given channel. So in this case, we'll set a default instance for the prod US in the prod channel. And in that way, every command which we will do there will be executed by default for the prod US instance. So we apply the sample app, and now we can verify in the same way whether the apps are working. Oh, we already got an error from the ProdUS cluster. So what we can do, we can execute the commands by typing as before, but we can also utilize the actionable notification and just simply click one of the commands. In this case, we'll use the logs command. Oh, as you can see here, something is really wrong here because we also got the same notification in the EU cluster. But here, based on the logs, we can see that something is wrong in the loading after loading configuration part. So we need to debug that in the Go code. Okay, but let's take a look at the logs for the app deployed on the prod EU cluster. We could also use the interactive notification to run the commands, but also we can type a command with specifying the cluster name. In this case, the command klogs app will be executed for the prod EU cluster. As we can see here, the logs are the same. So probably this is about prod incorrect configuration or something like this. But what if we wanted to execute a given command for all of the clusters? This is where the all clusters option comes in. In a moment, we will get the logs from prod EU and prod US clusters. And that's it when it comes to the Microsoft Teams and multi-cluster environment. If you want to learn more, then check out our documentation website for details when it comes to the Microsoft Teams Botkube app. Thank you very much and see you later.